Welcome to Scrubbed In, the DVM Journey, the podcast where we dive into the wild, rewarding, and sometimes unpredictable world of becoming a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine. I'm your host, Grace Gaynor, a current second-year veterinary student at Virginia, Maryland College of Veterinary Medicine. Whether you're an aspiring vet, a vet student, or just passionate about animals, this is your backstage pass into becoming a DVM. From classroom to clinic, we're sharing the insights, tips, and real-life experiences to help you thrive on your journey to becoming a vet. So scrub in, and let's get started. Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Grace and this is our first podcast. The podcast is called Scrubbed In, and today I have a wonderful colleague and friend with me today that I'm going to be interviewing. Her name is Kalenza Robinson. She's a current second-year veterinary student at the Virginia, Maryland College of Veterinary Medicine. So welcome, Kalenza.
Thank you, Grace. I'm excited about Scrubbed In. I'm happy to be the first one.
Yeah, I was so nervous when I was thinking about starting this podcast, and I said, who can I ask that I know is going to say yes, and not only say yes, but be like an enthusiastic yes. And you were that person that came to mind. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Kalenza. We are so lucky to have her, guys. She literally does everything, and I'm just so excited to pick her brain today and hear about all the different things she does in veterinary school. But first, I want to ask you, Kalenza, tell us about your journey to veterinary school and everything that led up to you being here at Virginia, Maryland.
Okay, that is a loaded question, and I love it.
Yeah.
So first, I started off at Tuskegee University in my undergrad. I absolutely love what I did. That was my first time working with farm animals. So I was on the farm from Sunday to Sunday after we did this goat show. I said, oh my goodness, I didn't know how much I love farm animals. So Sunday to Sunday, I'm on the farm, and then I started working there because I didn't know you can get paid to work there, for work study. So I said, oh, I'm doing this for free for 2 years. And then the last 2 years, I said, okay, let me go ahead and start getting paid. So I did that. Then I got my master's from Tuskegee as well. And then I took a break from school because my dad and my brother passed away going into my senior year. And I was a beneficiary for my dad, and I had to close both of their. It was terrible. Yeah. But then I went and left and went to live in St. Kitts and Nevis, just living my best life. I was like, I don't feel like doing anything. I didn't know necessarily if I still wanted to do vet med because I was like, it's just been a little bit too much. Every time I go a higher step, something else is happening, trying to hinder me from going somewhere else. So I was like, I don't know if I want to do vet med. That's the whole purpose of me getting my master's. I said, I'm not necessarily sure. And then after my master's, I was like, okay, yeah, I think that vet med is just still for me because everything else sucks. Nobody really want to pay. I mean, vet med, it doesn't have the best pay unless you're going to specific places or if you specialize. But other than that, I said, no, I want to be the doctor. I do still want to be a veterinarian. And I don't know, animals have this hold on my heart. It has me in a chokehold. So I said, okay, Kalenza, we still want to pursue veterinary medicine. So I applied, and then I got into Virginia, Maryland. I got into Penn, and I got into St. George. And I was like, well, at first I was a little skeptical about Virginia, Maryland until I came on the open house, and I absolutely loved it. I went to the Christian's Veterinary Club, and I got a shirt from them, and I said, okay, I'm going to pray over this shirt. I said, God, if you allow me to get into this school, I know this school will be for me, and I'll make you proud, and I'm going to go for it. And then I got in, and I was like, oh, I got into my other two schools I like too. But then I remembered my promise, and I said, okay, Virginia, Maryland must be for me. So I came here, and now I love it. This school is amazing.
Yeah, I just love Kalenza and her story because I feel like you really have overcome so much to get here. And I feel like that really is something that pre-veterinary students need to hear. We have been through struggles, you have been through struggles, but you still overcame all that, and you used that to fuel the fire within you and to come to veterinary school. So I think that's amazing.
Thank you.
When you applied to veterinary school, what do you think made you a standout applicant?
Honestly, I think because I went and got my master's, right after I did my undergrad. I had over 1,000+ hours working in an clinic. So I was at Banfield 6-7 days a week, working 110+ hours every 2 weeks. So I'm like, maybe that's probably what had me stand out. But also since I've been through a lot, and they saw my senior year, I had a 4.0 both semester, and I was taking 18 credit hours for the fall semester and 20 credit hours for the spring semester. And they were like, I guess if she can do that, and she just dealt with 2 passes in her family because I was very close. I was a daddy's girl, and I was very close to my brother. So they probably were like, if she can overcome something like that and still do well in school, I think she'll do well in this program. So I think that's what happened, but I don't know.
No, absolutely. I feel like we never really know why we were admitted, but being able to show that you went through something difficult and you overcame that, and that you have such a strong personality and that you can overcome hardship, right? Because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for veterinary students that can overcome the difficulty of this profession. So I think that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they're especially Virginia, Maryland, like they're not looking for, I won't say weak links, but they want the best of the best. They're like, if you've been through something, you know that you can prevail, or even if you know that you can handle a struggle or a change and just be adaptive to things, they're more willing to work with you than for you to just be calculated and things of that nature. They're like, look, you're a human being. We understand that. You can't just go by the book for everything. Some things you need to learn to be a little bit more resilient and resourceful, and I think Virginia, Maryland really loves that.
Right, absolutely. If there's any pre-veterinary students listening, admissions, they can smell BS a mile away.
Yes,
so
they can.
You want to show up your most authentic self, not only in your application, but also in your interview if you are lucky enough to get one. So now that you are here at Virginia, Maryland, I'm so excited to share all this information about Kalenza that I have creepily looked up from her email signature. But Kalenza, not only is she a DVM student, but she's a dual DVM MPH student.
Yes.
She is also on the honors board for the class of 2027. Mm-hmm. She's also the senior wellness chair for SAVMA. She's also the fundraising chair for the Student National Organization of Black Veterinarians. She's also a student ambassador for the Virginia Maryland College of Veterinary Medicine, and she's also a student ambassador for Elanco. Mm-hmm. And last but not least, she works in the ICU. So Kalenza, I am literally just trying to understand, how do you manage doing all those roles while maintaining your status as an academic weapon? Please let us know your secret.
Honestly, I have been a busybody since I was in elementary school. Like, I was on safety, I was president for Safety Patrol. I was on the news staff team. I was captain of cheerleading. I was in dance. I was in chorus. I think that's it. I was also in 4-H as well. So, like, I'm used to doing a lot of things at once. When I just do one thing, then I start to overthink, and I'm like, am I missing something? Like, am I supposed to be doing something? So, also, the things that I do, I actually love doing it. Like, being a student ambassador, I don't know, this school has been so great and so amazing to me. So, everything kind of comes second nature. Like, if I don't want to do it, I'm not doing it. But if I sign up to do it, or if I'm nominated to do it, I will definitely do it, and do it with all that I have. Like, pour my passion into it, because I don't have to do anything. Like, if I'm going to do it, it will be full out. So I don't know, I do it, and I take pride in it, and I just want to make sure everyone else is experiencing the same things that I'm experiencing, or if not, do something more and better. So they're like, okay, if they want to come to SNAP-B, this is the events that we're having. We want everybody to join. Like, we're having the All Black Affair. I want everybody to come out. I'm going to send an email to Miss Kathy to send to the whole school, including the staff. Everybody come out, enjoy some good vibes, do some connections. Let's have a good time. Like, you can be in veterinary medicine and still enjoy yourself and have fun, because, so many people take this, I won't say too seriously, because it's very serious, but at the same time, you have to live. Like, you need to have a boundary for personal life, for school, for business. My personal life comes first. Like, I need to relax. I can't be sitting here stressed out and then expecting for me to soar and do great in life. No, it doesn't work like that. So all of this brings me joy, and I'm like, okay, well, add it on to the books. So who knows what I'll be doing next.
Yeah, some things that you said were so important, just about passion specifically. Like, you have a passion for all of those roles that you're in, and so you bring your best self to the table, and you don't let that stand in the way of your academics, because it really fills your cup and allows you to be really good in school. I know you're so smart, and just to let you guys in on a little fun fact, Kalenza just did her first official spay in the U.S., And a little birdie told me that a certain professor that will remain unnamed came over and tried to finish her closure for her. And she said, no, I've got this. And then she finished her closure, and the professor came back and said, dang, that was a good job. That was a job well done.
Yeah.
So, Kalenza, congratulations.
Thank
First
you.
of all, that's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
And glad that you showed that professor what you're made of.
Most definitely, you have to.
Okay, so my next question is, what are some strategies pre-veterinary or current veterinary students can use if they are struggling in school?
I would say, first, make time for yourself, because you need to find the problem from within. Like, you can't just sit there and be like, oh, well, let me focus on this and focus on this and focus on this, but instead of trying to focus on what the initial issue is. When you set time for yourself and you learn more about yourself, you'll be able to easily pinpoint what the issue may be going on in your life. Secondly, set up your own time to study. Like, you don't study like everyone else. Everybody studies differently. Like, my style of study is different from my friend's style of study. Like, for anatomy, for instance, I can look at anatomy and I don't have to see it again until the exam.
Yeah.
I'm going to make 100 on my exam. But for other people, they may look at anatomy and be like, what is this? Like, I don't have to study anatomy, but I do have to study my lecture material. Some people look at their lecture material and they're like, girl, this is easy. And I'm like, no, it's not. So it depends on your style of learning, how you want to study. And then I don't compare myself to other people. Just because you are soaring and doing great, you understand this, does not mean that I know less than you, because in reality, most people who are book smart do not do that well in clinics. Like, the performance is not up to par. So I know my performance is up to par. Do I do great on all of my exams? No. But at the same time, I know my information. It's not like if they were to come to me, I'll be looking at them like, I don't know. So with that being said, you just find what's best for you. Don't compare yourself to others, especially not your friends. Like, your friends are your friends. Don't make it a problem. Don't create something in your head and then expect for them to be like, oh, I understand. No, because everybody don't always have to understand where you're coming from. So just be yourself, learn yourself, and go for it. That's the best advice I can give.
Absolute gold. Absolute gold. I think that I can say I personally struggle so much with comparing myself to others. And, you know, we're really lucky to be at a school that it's not super competitive between
Right.
us. People are very open about their grades, but they'll also not be, you know, asking you, what did you get on this exam? People are just trying to support each other and stuff like
Yes.
that. But I still find that I compare myself. So I think that that is a superpower, really, to be able to just say, I know my strengths. And I feel the same way. I might not be the best in an exam, a multiple choice exam, but when it comes to clinics, I do feel like I'll be able to communicate well. So
Yes.
I love not only not comparing yourself, but knowing your strengths, right? And your weaknesses and owning those.
Yes. And also, like, when you know you have these strengths, that doesn't mean you start belittling people because they're stronger somewhere else and you're just trying to basically gaslight other people and toot your own horn. It's fine to toot your own horn, but at the same time, be humble enough to help your classmates out, because we're all in a rigorous program. Like, we're all here to support each other. We made it. We were the competition. Now we just need to get out
So
into the
true.
real world. Like, there's no more competing. We all need to learn. We're all learning the same things, no matter if you're here at Virginia, Maryland, if you're at Penn, if you're at Ohio. We are all learning veterinary medicine. It's all the same information, no matter where you go. So it depends on how you go about things. That's what will make your experience. So even as a pre-vet student, start working on yourself now, so that way when you get to vet school, you're not trying to figure things out. Because in undergrad, I didn't study. I thought everything was easy, and my grades show it. I said, oh, great, straight A's, A's and B's, wonderful. And then I got to vet school, and I said, this is what you guys did for 4 years? You studied? This is what studying is? So it was a complete change for me, but I found my own rhythm, and I just went for it. And it was a hard change because I was not used to studying at all. I was used to going home, doing what I wanted to do, and not reviewing the information until the day before the exam. That was my version of study cramming. So you can't really cram that.
Yeah. No, I understand. There are definitely some classes that I didn't really study for in undergrad. And I feel like a lot of pre-veterinary students kind of can experience that same thing in different ways, because even if you do have strong study habits, when you come to veterinary school, your study habits will change. Your strategy will change completely. So
and also depending on the class, you can't study the same for every class.
That is so true.
You cannot. Like, some class you need graphs, some class you need, I don't know, to draw things out. Some class you need question style quizzes. Like, it's different for every class. At least for me it is.
No, I completely agree. And I feel like that's such important information for any veterinary or even pre-veterinary students. Like, I agree. My study habits change by class, and I just work on being adaptable, right? Kind of trying new things. And I feel like that has helped me be more successful for sure. So I love that. What a great point.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Of course.
What are 2 things you do in veterinary school for fun?
For fun, I would say, I don't know, everything I do outside of school is fun.
I know. See, Kalenza's just a fun person. Everything's fun. Every day's fun.
I know. Okay, 2 things for vet school that's fun. Definitely being the fundraising chair for SNAP-B is very fun. Like, we get together, I get to create the events, and we get to do it. So it's like kind of my way. I like that.
I love that.
But also it's definitely the organization's way, because we have to all agree if that's what we want to do and that's what's best for the students here. But another thing that I do for fun, I don't know, like the way that I would study sometimes, like I would make crossword puzzles for anatomy or any other things. Like, I like making learning fun, because if I'm not having fun with it, I don't want to do it. Like, purpose games for anatomy, I'll play that all day, and then next thing you know, I know all of the vessels, and it just sticks to me. So I make my learning habits fun, because if it's not fun, I'm like, oh, you're more difficult. This is not fun. And I know everything won't be fun, but I try to do it that way, because that's how I like to learn.
I love that. I feel like that's such a unique way to just turn the studying on its head and do something that's fun for you. I love that.
Thank you.
Never want to send some of those purpose games my way, please do.
I got you.
So, if we were to turn the clock back, if you could go back in time and give your pre-veterinary self one piece of advice, or maybe a pre-veterinary student out there who has a similar lived experience to you, what piece of advice would you give them?
I would say it's okay to be confident, because a lot of times when you're confident and your peers around you aren't, you're just like, okay, let me kind of stay to myself. I don't want anybody to think I'm overshadowing them. At that point, it's not whether or not you're overshadowing them. It's for you to shine. You're your own person. If your friends want to gain that level of confidence that you have, it's nothing but a conversation to be had. But don't belittle yourself for the people around you. At that point, you may need to elevate your circle, or just kind of get everybody up to speed. Some people are more shy. Like, people don't believe it, but I'm a shy person. But at the same time, I can be very bold, and I am very confident, because what I do, I'm going to always do my absolute best. I don't have to do anything. Like I said earlier, I will not have to do anything. So when I do something, if you tell me, I'm going to be humble enough to be teachable and to learn it, instead of trying to act like I know it all. And even if I know it, people have different approaches to everything. So not everything is 100% this way, that way. Just be adaptable. Do it, listen, and go for it. Like, be confident in everything that you do, so that way you're not making too many mistakes. And it's okay to be confident. You have some people that'll be like, no, you don't need to be going somewhere and acting like this. Stand up for who you are and just be yourself. Don't be rude or anything. Still be teachable, but be confident. Just because I promise you, I used to be like, oh, I don't know. I'll be whispering and mumbling things to myself, saying the right answers, but not confident enough to say it. Just be confident, because it could take you a lot of places. Like, I had friends, they were saying stuff, and they spoke up about it, and it took them a lot of places. Like, out of the country, they paid for everything. Sometimes it's okay to open up your mouth, especially when it's the right setting. Sometimes you need to be a little bit more bold, because some people will think, no, don't say that during this interview, or don't do this, don't do that. And for some people, when you step outside of your comfort zone and you are bold, they'll be like, oh, okay, she has a point, or this is a point of view that I've never even thought to think of. So be confident and be bold. It is perfectly fine. Don't be too bold, but be bold.
I love that. Don't be too bold, but be bold. I love that, because it's so hard coming into this program, being a pre-veterinary student, there's so much imposter syndrome, and I feel like you're kind of speaking to that, saying, you know, you belong here, be bold, be yourself, especially when you're applying. We have all been through it, and we know it's difficult, but you all, if you're listening to this, you know, you belong here. You just have to believe it, and you have to go into, you know, your application bold and your interview bold. Yeah. Be bold. Kalenza and I believe in you.
We do.
Out there.
And also, like, I don't have imposter syndrome, so, like, sometimes when people...
Love that for you.
Thank you. Sometimes when people are like, I don't know if I belong, like, but I have certain friends who do, like, and it's really bad, and they're like, I suck. I'm like, no. First of all, act like this is your pet. One day you are going to be the doctor. You can't sit here and be like, oh, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't be. Yes, it should be you. You should be doing this. Act like this is your pet. Would you want somebody over your pet that's like freaking out right now, or do you want them to actually do the procedure and do it well? I wouldn't want nobody freaking out over my pet. I would prefer to do my own pet's surgery. Now, some people may not prefer to do that, which is fine, but you have to come to a point where you know that you know your stuff. You were taught it well. Now it's time for you to apply it and believe in yourself. When you do that, you should have everything that you need. Sometimes you may need to say a prayer. Some people don't believe in God. You should, but that's neither here nor there. But at the same time, this is what I'm talking about, where you need to be confident and be bold. Because if you, say for instance, like how Dr. Napier say, if you tear a pedicle or something started bleeding, say there. You now know that, hey, I was confident enough to tear this uterine artery. Now I know where this bleeding is. I don't have to figure out, was this from the suspensory ligament, or was this a pedicle? Was this no. When you did it confidently, you're like, oh, I tore it here, so it must be this. Now your mind is more clear and more sharp, like, okay, I know where to pinpoint this. I know what's around the area. I can figure this out. Because when you start shutting down and the imposter syndrome starts taking over your mind, then you're like, I have no idea what to do, and that's when people start freaking out. But when you take control of the situation, you remain calm, you remain confident, hey, you're like, hey, I gotta finish it. I gotta do this. Because if you have a boss one day who's used to watching over you do your work, and he goes to lunch because he feels comfortable enough for you to do things on your own, and that day something crazy happens, you can't wait for him to get off lunch. You have to finish it. Yeah, and I'm not, you shouldn't want to bother your boss while he's on lunch. Like, that's insane. Like, you're the doctor. Be the doctor. Rely on your own understanding. And also, you can tell a technician or an assistant, hey, get my iPad or open this textbook. There's nothing wrong with that. Open that textbook and show me so I can read, and I will follow along and do what I need to do. It's as simple as that. You have to remain calm during situations like that, because if not, you'll freak out and you'll have a dead pet on the table, and we don't want that. So remain calm.
Absolutely. Very good advice from someone who just did their first official spay. She has other surgical experience, just going to say. Kalenza, thank you so much for coming on this podcast today and starting this journey with me. I only have a couple more questions for you.
You're welcome.
My question is, what is one thing you are looking forward to when it comes to working in veterinary medicine?
Like, I think I'm more so looking forward to the smiles and the appreciation from the people, because I'm a dual program, so I'm in the MPH and also veterinary medicine. So I know I'll have to work with people. I'll have to work with certain outbreaks and things of that nature. Like, when I worked for the USDA and I was at A5, we had to go to certain people homes and basically take everything from them. Like, that's your entire living. Like, that's all you know. These chickens, they bring you eggs, they bring you your meat. Like, this is your money. But when you don't abide by certain protocols and biosecurity measures that we may have in place, say for instance, I tell Billy Joe, hey, don't go down to Jack Daniel house because this is what's going on in this area. But you decide, because Jack Daniel is your cousin, you just want to park on the outskirt of his home, that okay, this was fine. But once you walk up there to go talk to Jack Daniel and you come back, now you're a walking fomite, and now you've taken that into your car. Now next thing you know, when you get outside of your car, you walk to your chickens, now all of your chickens have HPAI, and you're going to be looking like, how did this happen? And I'll have to come back and say, did you go to Jack Daniel's house? And of course you're going to lie, and then you'll have to tell the truth, because now we have to take everything from you and put you on a certain protocol and quarantine for a couple of days. But then at the same time, I did get some people who were very grateful, like, thank you for teaching us about this, because if not, we wouldn't have known. Like, those times where I had to take things from people, I didn't like that. I was like, oh, Jesus, this is terrible, especially dealing with certain kinds of people. But when you have people who are like, thank you, and they know better, and they want to do better, and they love being educated about certain things, that's what I really like. I'm like, okay, I can work with the people, let you guys know everything that you're supposed to know and need to know, and then also your animals will be better. They'll be treated better, because I'm still kind of stuck between if I want to work in a clinic or if I want to be more out in the field services with the USDA. I'm leaning more towards USDA or CDC, but yeah, it just depends. But also, like, when I know that I'm thriving in my career by actually making a change, that just makes me very happy. Like, I don't care about how much stress it brings, as long as something is being done. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like it's so important that anyone who is considering becoming a vet, they understand that we are in this for the people, really, at the end of the day. And I think a lot of us and our classmates feel the same way. Yeah. But it doesn't make it any easier. It's going to be difficult no matter what. But I think that I'm really excited for you. I think that is going to be...
Some people, they really think that vet med is just only dealing with animals, and they're like,
so wrong.
This is why I want to choose vet med. I don't have to deal with the people. No, now you have to deal with more people, actually.
Right.
You have to deal with people that's pissed off because they don't understand. Now they're frustrated, and you're just throwing things at them, and you have to give them time. So you have to deal with all different kinds of people to relay certain types of information depending on what's going on with your pet or your animal. It's different. It is not all about the animals. You have to care for the people as well. So sometimes it's like a therapy session for the people.
I bet.
Sometimes you need a therapy session for yourself. Like, you can do 6 euthanasias back to back, and then you have to turn around and go into the next door for a puppy just to get him his first shot. So it's a lot of on and off, but the profession is very beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kalenza, thank you so much for coming on this podcast today. Where can people find you on social media?
Okay, you can definitely follow me on Instagram. I have the vet page is called Dr.K.Robinson, so Dr.K.Robinson, and you can also follow me on TikTok. I am so sorry, at Dr.K, so it's Dr.Kayyyy, and that's where you can find me.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kalenza, for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Until next time, this was Scrubbed In with Kalenza Robinson. That's a wrap for today's episode of Scrubbed In, the DVM Journey. Thanks for tuning in and being a part of our community of future vets and animal lovers. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. It helps others find the show and join the conversation. And if you have any questions or topics you'd love to hear about, feel free to leave us a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep scrubbing in, and remember, the journey to becoming a DVM is one step at a time.